I'll wait till we get like one person here. So this is a turkey tail mushroom, Trametes versicolor, and you'll see it has basically these stripes of different colors on the top side, and on the underside it should be white with small white pores. If you zoom in, you'll see the small white pores, and that's basically a turkey tail. And you'll find it growing on wood, so it's a wood mushroom. And yeah, these were oyster mushroom logs, and I think the turkey tails basically outcompeted the oyster mushroom. So now it's a turkey tail log. So, I mean, still useful, but it's you can't get them all. But yeah, there's growing all over. These are some younger turkey tail right here. They kind of start off white and then they'll grow the little brown stripe, and then they'll kind of get basically the turkey tail pattern like this when they're about ready to harvest. And you want to make sure to harvest them when they're still white on the underside, because they will start to decompose and turn brownish. So just make sure you get them fresh. And there's some more turkey tail. Basically, it's really hard to misidentify turkey tail. You'll run into mushrooms like false turkey tail, which looks kind of similar, but once you see a turkey tail, you'll never mistake it again. So you'll know pretty much from the underside. Find a good one. Basically, the underside is the easiest way to verify that it is a turkey tail. So the top side will always have this kind of like stripe pattern with grays and browns and blues, but the underside will have these small white pores, and can't really zoom in, but if you look close, there's these very tiny white pores on the underside, and that's basically how I identify it's a turkey tail. But once you see one, you'll get the confidence to just spot it basically right away. Yes, this is edible. It's not really like a one I would eat, because it's really only used in teas and powders. So you'd have to basically make an extract into a tea or a tincture, because turkey tails are a medicinal mushroom. They're not an gourmet mushroom. So I would not eat these. And pretty much the majority of mushrooms you have to cook anyways. So even then, I wouldn't eat this raw. I would cook it. But it's very woody, so it's not like something that you'd even resemble as edible. You definitely just want to use it in a tea or a tincture. And yeah, it supposedly has a lot of medicinal benefits. I can't verify that, but can't hurt to try because it's natural. But these were oyster mushroom totems that they weren't a native species, and because they're more of a warm weather species, I believe the mycelium of the oyster mushrooms died, and then because turkey tails are so aggressive, they basically took over, and now there's an abundance of turkey tails growing on all these old oyster mushroom logs. So you can see this is basically the pin that will turn into the turkey tail. It's just like a white blob. You don't really know what it is, and then after about a week or two, you'll see these small little turkey tails. And then this is about the size you want to harvest it at, where it's before it turns brown on the underside. So you want to make sure it's still white on the underside to use. And then you could just dry these in a dehydrator or in the sun, store them in a jar, and then use them whenever you want a tea or a tincture. And that's basically the extent of turkey tails. I don't personally use them medicinally, but I've heard they do have benefits. I can't verify that, so you'd have to do some of your own research. I just wanted to show you what turkey tails look like, and you'll always find them growing on wood because they are a wood-loving species. So if you see them growing out of the ground, I don't think they'd be turkey tails. They could be growing if there's like a stump in the ground that you don't really see. You'd have to dig to see, but otherwise, I would say it's not a turkey tail if it's growing out of the dirt. They'll pretty much only grow out of wood, and they'll grow on, from what I've seen, pretty much any type of wood. And this is a pretty prolific fruiting right here. And these are about ready to use. They'll get a little bit bigger, but that's kind of the size you want, right? Find one right there. This is kind of the size you want when you harvest turkey tail. And it's got the white underside with small white pores, and the kind of rainbow gray, blue, grayish, red, white kind of rainbow pattern on the top. So there is a look-alike the false turkey tail that you usually find growing actually right near it. So you just want to be careful that you use proper identification, and definitely don't use it if you're not 100% confident. I don't think false turkey tail will kill you, but it's just better to not eat mushrooms that aren't edible because you'll get an upset stomach at the very least. So, yeah, for identification purposes, I would just take some pictures first and look at some mushroom books. And then once you're confident, you can start using it in teas and tinctures. But really, this is more of just for identification to kind of see the different stages of turkey tail. These ones are just fresh ones, about to get bigger. These are also some small ones. Yeah, and then this right here, growing right next to the turkey tail, is not turkey tail. This is some type of polypore. You can see like the underside is these white pores, but it's not a turkey tail because it's more of a thick stem. The turkey tail is just kind of like a thin, very small mushroom. This is just a polypore that I forget the name exactly, but it's not edible. It's more just a decomposer. So you know it has its benefits, but it's not turkey tail. But it was growing right next to the turkey tail, and you could see the difference. It will have these white pores on the underside, but it's not a turkey tail. These are more like a hexagonal shape underneath. Turkey tail will just be like small, roundish pores. So just make sure you know what you're doing when you're harvesting turkey tail. And you can see this white right here. This is all mycelium growing in the log, and the bugs love this, but you can see how prolific it's growing. These are fully colonized logs. They used to be oyster mushroom logs, but the oyster mushrooms didn't make it. And turkey tails are probably the most aggressive mushroom in the Northeast. So you can always find it, and they'll always grow, whether you want them or not. Let's go see if we can find some more. But if you're new, this is a turkey tail. And if you want to know how to identify it, the top side will have this kind of rainbowish pattern, kind of alternating between white, brownish, gray. And then the underside will always have these small white pores. And you want to make sure you zoom in when you're looking at them, or look at really closely, because there's other mushrooms like false turkey tail that will look similar on the top, but underneath they'll be kind of like just smooth or brown, and you don't want that. You want turkey tail, and this is turkey tail. This is actually a little baby shiitake right here. Not a turkey tail, but these shiitake logs are growing right next to the turkey tail. So that's just, mushrooms. Let's go see if we can find some more turkey tail. Turkey tails that they'll grow on logs that already have other mushrooms growing on them. So you'll get 2 mushrooms on one log, realistically, whether you want it or not. And if you live in a region with turkey tail that are growing, you'll basically get them everywhere. And right here, these are oyster mushroom totems, and see it's fully fused together, the mycelium. But these are turkey tail that are growing out of the top. So the turkey tail are very aggressive. If you just get like one or a few spores on the log, they'll grow everywhere. And they're a great decomposer. They're just kind of annoying when you're trying to grow other mushrooms. And these are some young turkey tail pins. And then after about a week or two, they'll turn into this size. And then once they're a little bit bigger, let me see if I can find a bigger one that you could eat. Or not eat, but use for a tea. So yeah, some of these are a little too old, but yeah. See, these are starting to turn brown, so I would not use these. I would make sure the underside is still white. And you want to have small white pores, so just be careful when you're looking for them. These are fresher ones that look like they should still be good. Yeah. And if you want to grow turkey tail, you basically don't have to do anything. You kind of just have to put some logs in the forest where turkey tail also grow. And then you'll end up with turkey tail growing everywhere. So it'll kind of just grow whether you want it or not. So I wouldn't even put any effort or money into inoculating logs to grow turkey tail because you'll find it pretty much everywhere. So don't waste your time, just let Mother Nature do it. Some good turkey tails right here. Yeah, so all the logs are pretty much covered in turkey tail. And these are edible. They're just only really used in teas and tinctures for medicinal purposes, but it's a good mushroom to know because it'll grow pretty much everywhere as a decomposer. So So right here, these are not turkey tail. They look similar on the top side, but underneath you can see it's more of a brownish color, and they're not pores, so I'm gonna make sure they have small white pores underneath. This is not a turkey tail, so do not use these. But they do, from a distance, they do look similar. So just be careful, They're not like poisonous. I just wouldn't recommend eating mushrooms that aren't guaranteed to be edible because you'll at least end up with a stomach ache. So, don't do that. But yeah, let's go find some more turkey tail. All right, this is not turkey tail, but this is some very decomposed black staining polypore. So it's hard to tell, but I know because I've been here before, and you can kind of see the black staining. But These are edible when they're younger. I've never eaten them, but definitely can't eat them now because they're so far gone and decomposed. But just another polypore that you could eat about a few weeks ago. Not right now. This is another lookalike for turkey tail. It looks similar on the top side, but underneath you can see it's more of a brownish purple. So not turkey tail. There's kind of been a drought this year, so there's really not that many mushrooms. So we're kind of waiting for some more rainstorms, but turkey tail will pretty much grow no matter what. So these are more turkey tail. These ones are pretty much the right size to harvest. And let me grab one. You can see the underside. So yeah, it should have still a white underside with small white pores. And this is still fresh enough to use. This is about as big as they'll get. And then you could dry these and use them in teas or tinctures, or just store them in a jar for whenever you want to use them. But just make sure you dry them out all the way, because you don't want other molds or bacteria growing on them. Some more turkey tail. And turkey tail are probably the most abundant mushroom you'll find in the woods. They'll grow in droughts, they'll grow everywhere, they'll grow on most types of wood. Well, there's no one in the live stream right now, so. Oh, someone just joined. Cool. So if you're new, this is we're doing some turkey tail foraging, and basically these are all turkey tail. They're just smaller. And the way you identify turkey tail is you'll see the top part will have kind of a rainbow color, white, gray, brown, and blue, kind of variation of those colors. And then the underside will always be white with small white pores. And there's some lookalikes that'll have just a white underside or brown underside. And those are not turkey tail. This is turkey tail. And this is about the size you want to harvest it before it starts to decompose. But turkey tail is one of the easiest mushrooms to find, and it pretty much grows, from my understanding, everywhere in the world. So you should be able to find it, as long as you don't live in Antarctica. But yeah, it'll grow. See, these are all lion's mane logs, and they're just covered in turkey tail. So kind of what happens is, whether or not you want to grow turkey tail, you'll grow turkey tail. So I don't even bother inoculating logs with turkey tail. They'll just grow on their own. And sometimes they'll outcompete the mushroom you want to grow because they're so aggressive. But if you use a significantly large amount of spawn or mycelium, it should be able to outcompete the turkey tail. And I would just recommend using mushrooms or reishi, because it's tough lion's mane and other species if you have turkey tail, because the turkey tail is so aggressive. And we'll go find some better ones. Most of these are still kind of small, but yeah. So if you want to actually grow turkey tail, just put some logs in your woods near turkey tail that's already growing, and it'll just spread the spores all over the new logs, and then you'll get too much turkey tail. So I don't even recommend growing turkey tail, because you probably already have it growing where you live. and it'll kind of spread everywhere. So unless you want it, don't inoculate it because it'll become somewhat of an issue. Oh, here we go. See, this is turkey tail growing on the shiitake log. So this is a small shiitake mushroom. It's almost ready to harvest. And then on some of them, you have turkey tail. So that's kind of the issue. In temperate regions, the turkey tail will just take over. And even in colder regions, the turkey tail will just grow everywhere. So these used to be oyster mushroom totems, and now they're turkey tail totems. So I didn't want to grow turkey tail on these, but what am I going to do? You know, you could just burn these if you want to get rid of them and use it as biochar, but there's plenty of turkey tail, so you might as well use it. At least dry it and save it. So this is all, these ones are all ready to go, ready to harvest. And then you kind of have this, which is just a pin. It'll turn into this in about a week or two. And then you get kind of the initial phases with these little turkey tails, and then they'll grow a little bigger. And then you'll get these, which are the size you want to harvest. So, yeah, just some turkey tail. I don't really have much else unless anyone has a question, and there's only one person in the stream, so, you know, maybe I'll just end this. I'll just film some turkey tail while we're here. If you have any questions, just let me know. This is all turkey tail. Trametes versicolor. It is technically edible, but it's more of a medicinal, so it's not used in food. It's more used in teas and tinctures. And if you want to learn how to identify it, let me grab a big one. Basically, the top side will kind of have this blue, gray, white, rainbowish pattern, and then the underside will always have these small white pores. And if it's brown or it doesn't have pores, it's not turkey tail, or it's too far gone to use. So you want to make sure when you harvest it, it still has the small white pores underneath. And that's pretty much all you need to know about turkey tail. It grows everywhere. If you live in the Northeast, it should be pretty much on every log, or the majority of logs right now. So just go out in the woods and grab some if you want it, and just use a dehydrator or the sun to dry it out, and then store it in jars to use for teas or make a tincture with it. I don't personally use it. I just wanted to show kind of what they look like and how to find them. You'll always find them growing out of wood. They don't consume really any other substrate, so they should be growing on logs that are dead or stumps that are dead. So that's pretty much all you need to know about turkey tail. Reishi, I mean, reishi you could use pretty much most hardwood logs. So maple, oak, birch, birch isn't hardwood, but I would recommend, I mean, depends on where you live though, because pretty much anything but conifers, I would guess, for reishi, because I mean they're pretty aggressive too. Not as aggressive as turkey tail, but yeah, I would recommend anything but conifers. So we have a lot of maples here, so I use maples for shiitake. These are all shiitake logs right here. I'll try to find a shiitake. Here we go. Here's a little shiitake. But yeah, these are all maple, pretty much, that I use for shiitake because there's just so many maples here in the Northeast. And ideally you just use oak because it's a harder wood, but I just like maple, and ash works too. I have some ash logs that I use. But I don't really grow much reishi outside on logs. I do have some growing, but I don't really use reishi as much, so they kind of just grow and the bugs eat them. But yeah, these are turkey tail. And turkey tail will grow on any type of log pretty much. So if you want to grow it, which I wouldn't recommend, yeah, just put a log in the woods where turkey tail usually grow, and it'll basically spread to that new log very easily within a year or two. So don't even attempt to inoculate logs for turkey tail. You could also just go out in the woods and find some. But I mean, for most mushrooms that I grow, which is just like oyster mushrooms and shiitake and namako, I would basically use mostly maple. And for the oysters, I use a lot of birch. So you see what I have. These are the ones over here. I believe these are cherry, and these are all namako mushrooms. So they'll grow on other logs too, like maple. But these are all in a few weeks. There'll be some namakos on these. This is kind of like a namako raft, and you could add wood chips to this to get more. But yeah, the thing about mushrooms is a lot of them will just grow on whatever's available. So as long as you inoculate it with enough mycelium, it should grow. There's just preferred kind of logs for each mushroom, but I don't really worry too much about that. I would say maple is probably the best overall for the majority of species. So with maple, what is that little slime mold? But with maple, you could grow oyster mushroom, shiitake, lion's mane, turkey tail, obviously, and beech mushrooms. So if you have a lot of maple, I would use maple, but it kind of depends on what your forest is. So right here in the Northeast, it's some oaks, maples, birch, and ash. Pretty much are the majority of the trees here. So you kind of got to use what you have to grow mushrooms, but they're really not picky. And if you can get a native strain of whatever mushroom you want to grow, it's more ideal, obviously, because it'll be more adapted to your climate and won't be invasive, kind of like golden oysters are spread all over the U.S. because people dump their old grow kits outside, and then you get oysters fruiting everywhere. Here's some more turkey tail. All right, so these are not turkey tail. These are oyster mushrooms. And these are all oyster mushroom totems. And a lot of them also have turkey tail growing. So that's just the pins of the oyster mushroom. So they'll get bigger within a week or two. They're just need a little bit more moisture. A lot of these have turkey tail fruiting on them too. So that's the problem with turkey tail, is that when you want to grow another mushroom, you'll always end up growing turkey tail too, usually, or just turkey tail because they're so aggressive. So, I mean, they're cool looking, they're medicinal, but they're kind of annoying when you want to grow a more edible species because these are more just medicinal, used for teas and tinctures. So, I wouldn't eat these personally. They probably taste like wood. So, there's some smaller turkey tail, but yeah, I would definitely not recommend cultivating turkey tail outdoors because it'll just grow on its own. So if you just throw a log in the woods in a region where turkey tail already grows, you'll grow turkey tail. And it might take a year or two, but see, these are all oyster mushrooms or other species of mushrooms, but they're also growing turkey tail. So that's the unfortunate reality of mushroom cultivation. Sometimes the more aggressive species will outcompete the mushroom you want to grow. So that's farming though. So you kind of got to spread the diversity of what you cultivate. All right, so we're gonna go find some more turkey tail. It's pretty much everywhere in these woods, and there's some right here growing on the shiitake logs. So unfortunately, turkey tail is very aggressive, so it'll grow in places you don't want. And there's a shiitake growing on this log, but some of the other ones also have turkey tail, so they'll kind of grow symbiotically. It's just that turkey tail is far more aggressive than most mushrooms, so you kind of get both usually. So there's another little shiitake, but there's also just turkey tail growing everywhere. So that's unfortunate, but that's the thing about turkey tail. It'll just grow itself as long as it grows native to your climate. And I think turkey tail is pretty much native to everywhere except for Antarctica. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's pretty much one of the most aggressive mushrooms. So these were old oyster mushroom totems that unfortunately got outcompeted by turkey tail. So a lot of times you'll just end up growing turkey tail, even if you don't want to. So I would definitely not inoculate logs with turkey tail because it'll just spread. And this right here is a pin that will eventually grow into small little turkey tails, and then eventually this size where you can harvest it. And basically the underside should have these small white pores to make sure that it's turkey tail. So if it turns brown or it's a different color underneath, it's not turkey tail. And then the upper side should always be like a rainbow pattern with gray, red, blue, white. It kind of varies depending on each strain. So these are all turkey tail. These ones down here are probably ready to harvest. And they're not edible, they're more just medicinal. So if you were to eat it, it would just taste like wood, I would imagine. So definitely don't eat these. Just dry them and save them for teas or tinctures. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all I have. These are all just more turkey tail. Unless anyone has a question, and there's only one person here, so Oh, now 0. Turkey tail. Is that a turkey or is that a mushroom? I guess we'll never know. Yeah, if you have any questions, let me know. These are all turkey tail. They should all have a white underside with small white pores. It's kind of how I know it's turkey tail. And then the top side will usually be a variation of gray, red, brown, and white in kind of a rainbow pattern. And that's how you can identify turkey tail. But the underside is more important because there are similar species that will have a rainbow type pattern on the top, like false turkey tail. And you just want to make sure it is turkey tail because there's other species that have brownish underside or just a white underside that's not full of pores. And these are little shiitake mushrooms that are growing. I think these are maple logs. I forget. Yeah, these are maple. Shiitake does mean oak mushroom, so it's preferred to grow them on oak logs, but I like to use maple because we have so many maples here in the Northeast. Yeah, I don't know. There's like no one in the stream, so I might end this unless you have a question. But yeah, turkey tails are everywhere. So if you want turkey tail, just go into the woods. And if you want to grow turkey tail, just put a log in the woods and it'll grow turkey tail. It's kind of simple, but that's just how they grow. So if you want turkey tail, please don't grow it because it'll spread to all your other logs. And you could just place a log in the woods. Let me go find some because there's all my oyster mushroom totems pretty much have turkey tail as well. So if you just place a log in the woods in a region where their turkey tail are growing naturally, you'll get turkey tail spread to those logs. So some more turkey tail. All right, I guess that's probably that. This is turkey tail. If you've never seen it, they're just younger turkey tail mushrooms. I'm trying to find a bigger one so that you can see what they look like. So yeah, these are turkey tail. These are growing prolifically on this oyster mushroom totem, unfortunately, but that's turkey tails. They'll grow everywhere, especially places you don't want them, as long as fully fused together with oyster mushroom mycelium. But it also has turkey tail mycelium growing on the outer bark. So that's just outdoor mushrooms for you. But I mean, they do look cool, so I can't really hate on them. It's just they're not really edible. They're just more medicinal. So they'll kind of grow in this like geometric pattern usually too. But if you want to identify it and find a bigger one, there's got to be a bigger one around here. All right, let me go back over there where the bigger ones were. Yeah, so turkey tails are everywhere. As long as you are confident in identifying them, you could use them. But if you're not, I would just take your time, take some pictures, and verify in books and other resources that it is turkey tail. And there's a lot of good online resources to kind of build your confidence with that. iNaturalist is a good app for that. I wouldn't trust like AI though for identification purposes, but you can trust people. So join a mushroom club or kind of watch some YouTube or read some articles. But this is turkey tail, and the top side of turkey tail will always have this kind of rainbowish pattern with alternating between like white, gray, red, and a lot of times blue. And the underside will always have these small white pores. So if it's just smooth and white, it's not turkey tail. And if it's a different color, it's not turkey tail. It needs to have small white pores. So turkey tail. And it's growing everywhere. So I don't even need to forage it. These are just old oyster mushroom logs that are covered in turkey tail. And these are about the size you want to harvest. They don't really get much bigger than that. And they'll kind of have different color patterns. So you want to verify with the underside that it's turkey tail. And if you look closer, there's these very small white pores. So if it's a different color underneath, or if it's just smooth and white, it's not turkey tail. You kind of have to see it for yourself in person to see these small pores or get a magnifying glass. But this is turkey tail. So a lot of times it'll be blue in there, red, brown. It's kind of cool how many different colors it'll grow in. But once you find it and kind of learn how to identify it, it's very simple. And you'll see that it's growing on pretty much every log in the woods, especially this time of year. So, yeah, I mean, that's turkey tail. I guess I'll probably end this now. There's no one in here. All right, so this is turkey tail for anyone who's just getting here. And if you want to learn how to identify it, I'll give you the quick run through. So basically, the top side of turkey tail will always have this rainbow-ish pattern with white, brown, tan, red, or blue, kind of alternating colors on the top side. But the way to actually identify it is the underside. So turkey tail will have these small white pores underneath. So it's hard to see in the video, but you want to make sure there's small white pores underneath it and not just smooth and white or a different color. So that's kind of how I identify turkey tail. And once you find one, you'll see it's pretty much growing on every type of log in the woods. And yeah, if you have any questions, just let me know. I'm just in the mushroom patch with all these turkey tail. And these were old oyster mushroom logs that, unfortunately, are growing turkey tail on them. So I inoculated oyster mushrooms and I got turkey tail. So that's just life sometimes. Turkey tail is very aggressive, and you definitely don't want to grow it on your own because it'll just grow naturally and spread everywhere. So I would just let Mother Nature grow it for you because it's covering pretty much most of my mushroom logs. And the thing is, mushrooms can grow symbiotically. So a lot of the oyster mushroom logs will have the inner part of the log colonized with oyster mushrooms, and then the outer bark will kind of have turkey tail. So that's just the reality sometimes. But yeah, turkey tail is, I would say, the most abundant mushroom in temperate climates. I don't want to say the world, but it is everywhere. And there's a lot of lookalikes that are very aggressive as well. So if you want to identify it, just make sure that it has a white underside with small white pores. If you look in closer, these mosquitoes are everywhere. And then the top side will usually have variations of colors of white, gray, brown, red, blue, kind of in like a rainbow pattern. But you really want to look at the underside to identify it. Fucking mosquitoes everywhere. Turkey tail. If you don't know how to identify turkey tail, I'll give you a quick, very simple lesson. So the top side will always have this rainbowish pattern, kind of alternating between white, brown, gray, blue, red. And then the underside, and this is how you actually identify, will have these small white pores. So it's hard to see in the video, but once you find one, you'll see that the underside will be full of these small white pores. And if it has a smooth underside with no pores, or if it's a different color, it's either too far gone or it's not turkey tail. So just make sure that it has the small white pores on the underside, because there's a lot of species that look like this, like false turkey tail and various others, and they're not necessarily poisonous, but they're just not edible. So be careful out there. There's about 13,000 mosquitoes biting me right now, so I guess I'm going to end this because there's no one in here. But oh, this is one person. Let me give you a quick turkey tail lesson. So this is turkey tail, and the top side will have this rainbow pattern with alternating colors of white, brown, red, blue, gray, kind of those colors. And the underside will always have these small white pores, and it's hard to see in the video. But if you find one, you want to make sure it has small white pores, not a smooth underside and not a brown underside. It has to be white and small white pores underneath. And that's that. Oh man, these fucking mosquitoes. I'm gonna probably end this. There's no one here. Oh, one person. So here's a free turkey tail lesson. If you want turkey tail, this is the top side. So it'll have alternating patterns of white, brown, blue, red, kind of in a rainbow shape. And then the underside will always have these small white pores. So that's turkey tail. And that's the end of this because I'm getting eaten up by mosquitoes.